Welcome back to the Manuka Sunday podcast. I'm Mel. We obviously have a new face here. This is Carly. She is the account manager, strategist, my left brain, my right brain, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to introduce this whole new series and just get into a little bit more behind the scenes. Today, we're going to kick it off with doing a little Q&A. Carly's got some questions that I just threw out there from the Instagram community. But yeah, I just want to be able to showcase more behind the scenes on what we're doing, be able to just take you along for the ride. And we have some fun trips and stuff planned, so I think that would be fun to do.
Okay, so the first question is where to start building a personal lifestyle or wellness brand?
I would say before you build any type of Instagram, before you build any type of go for the logos, go for the colors, whatever, I would say what is your actual zone of genius, and you need to really understand who that's gonna be an offering to, and who's gonna think it's even relatable to their life. Owning your audience is number one type of thing. We always build out a strategy before any of our projects, whether it's a branding project, whether it's a website, social media, whatever. We do a strategy call to understand who their audience is. We dive into all the different things, understanding their problems, how we can build a solution for them, what the treatments are, what the services are, what the products are that we're actually building. And I think that's really where you need to start, owning what your service is and really understanding what you're good at, and then who you're going to be showcasing it to. And then I would say after you have that brainstormed out, nailed down, and really fine-tuned, then that's when you go into, okay, well, how can I make this cohesive? Also, another thing to think about within the audience space is where are they showing up? I think so many people just go straight to Instagram, straight to being I need a TikTok, but I don't have a TikTok.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are really, this could be just from my point of view, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of people on the design side are going to be going to TikTok to find a designer, or going, they definitely see, go to see agencies and things like that, but it's more on the fun side. I am a very visual brand, and I'm very in on aesthetics and all that thing. And I know that my audience really, really loves that side of things. I always get comments and people talking about being whenever I see your stuff, I know it's yours because you have a hint of you in everything that you create. And that's so great for Instagram because it's just such a visual platform, unless you're talking about all the reels and all that, but that's a whole different thing. But say you're an Etsy shop, Pinterest, 100%. And you just need to figure out where your audience is landing and then pick that one spot. I would do go hard on one platform at the beginning, figure out what's working, what's not working, testing, and understanding different platforms, and then kind of venturing out into that after that you have a solid community. What do you think?
Yeah, I think also just knowing where your type of content performs best and where you really want to focus on it. I was just listening to a podcast and she was talking about forward design specifically. A lot of people will get traffic from Behance or LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. But for example, we would never post our things on there just because that's not the type of content that we're doing or the people that we're attracting.
Yeah, totally. I go on Behance for inspiration, and all I see is extremely high finish, really, really the Coca-Colas of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm that would be sick one day, but at the same time, I'm not really looking to, not really our style at all. So yeah, I totally agree. I feel did that go into that question? How did you?
I think another important thing to think about is just start. Mm-hmm. So many times we'll work with people or get inquiries that are I want to have everything perfect before I actually start. Mm-hmm. And it's if you just start posting, if you have those things that you're passionate about and you know what you're doing, just start, and then you can always rebrand. You can always start something after. Mm-hmm. Even that's with our website relaunch. We kept on posting even while we were doing that, and it's you just showing up for yourself rather than showing up to perform.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big part of that is the showing up part is getting past the mindset. I know somebody asked another question if that kind of goes more into that, but getting past the fact that people are going to actually care
Yeah, we can jump into that question too.
Yeah, what was that one?
Yeah, getting over the fear of showing up online for personal brand and career.
Yeah, this is so hard. Honestly, I feel like I've talked about this, but the first like year I had Manuka Sunday, I only was posting pictures of like visuals and Pinterest photos and things like that. And I was like, once people see my face, they're not going to want to do anything with me. They're not going to want to like relate to me or whatever. The complete opposite happened.
Yeah.
I like absolutely, once I showed my face and people started resonating with like who I am, what I do on a daily basis, things like that, and just like actually saw my personality, things exploded for the account. But like getting past that, I think like the hard part is like really putting yourself out there and doing practice. I think I told you this. I was in the steam room the other day and I was like, because I'm terrible getting on camera, and I get out there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to show up on stories again this week and I'm going to promote all this stuff that we're doing and like all that stuff. And I go on camera and I freeze up. So what I did the other day that I think that really, really helped, I went into, it just happened to be in the steam room. I don't do this every time in the steam room. But I was in the steam room and I was like scripting what I was going to say. And I'm like just talking to myself, and like it sounds so dumb, but just practicing and just being like owning your stuff. Also like confidence comes when you're really passionate about something. Like we can talk all day about this type of stuff, but ask me something about like, this is a bad example of math that came to my mind first, but like I can't speak confidently about that if I don't know anything about it. So I think planning, just owning your stuff and like really understanding that what you're promoting is going to help people, and that like pursuing that, keep going, and like understanding like if you keep consistent at it, you're going to bring in an audience it's going to impact their life. So just keep that in the forefront for sure.
Yeah, I think also just like getting over the fear of what other people think. Like it's so easy to post something and be worried about like, oh, like is it going to connect to my contacts? Like who's going to see this? But it's like really in the end, nobody really is paying attention to what you're doing, and nobody really cares more than beyond themselves.
Oh yeah,
like just show up for yourself and know that like what you're creating, A, you enjoy it, B, other people are going to get value, and C, like just showing up, you're going to get so much more confident, and it's going to feel like nothing in like a year, and you're going to wish that you started sooner.
All right, and then that first launch phase that you go through and you're like, holy shit, I just made so much money because I showed up consistently. That is going to be the one thing that you're like, I don't care what the haters have to say. The money's coming in and I own whatever I'm doing. That's going to be a huge driving factor, I think. Yeah.
Okay, we'll jump into another question. I guess kind of going along with this, do you ever miss just being at your 9 to 5?
I think about this on a weekly basis, I would say. The thing is, like, I don't know, I don't want this to come across bad, but when I was in my 9 to 5, I was like so in routine. I would just get up, get dressed, go to work. I would do the things that I had to do. Somebody just gave me everything I needed to do, and I packed up. I mean, I had a different example, but like, I had a different experience because I was just in like a high stress environment. But I think about people that just like pack up and they can just go on with their daily lives and not think about their business. And I'm like, damn, that would be kind of nice right now. Yeah. So I do think about that, but at the same time, like, I don't know, we wouldn't get to be able to do stuff like this. The worst times that I've had creating my own business and like working in my own business has been me against me. But the worst days that I've been in my 9 to 5 job was like me walking home crying because I was exhausted and I was working for somebody else building their business, which is like not bad, of course, but like I was just in that mindset of being like, I could be putting all of this work into something myself and I could run my own hours. I just like build something that I have full control over. I don't know if that sounds bad.
No, I think that makes sense, and it's like your productivity is directly related to what you're getting. It's not like based on what someone else is telling you to do, and it's not measurable, which I think can be challenging at the beginning. But then once you see like the work that you put in, that it's actually leading to like more clients, more like money coming in, more opportunities, it all like makes it worth it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah. And another thing is like I work in sprints, and it bothered me that my past company that I was with, they were amazing for being like, just get the job done and we don't care where you are. Like saying like if we were in the office or like at one of the venues or things like that, and just like doing some like wherever we're working. But the thing about being at a 9 to 5 is like you're there for a set amount of hours and you're just expected to like work that entire time and have a lunch break in between. But like now I used to be structured with a routine, but now I'm like, I know that between like 7:30 a.m. and like 10:30, I can get so much shit done. And then I go to the gym and I'm like, I can reset and then have a full new day after. Like, I feel like I don't have that like really sticky structured routine anymore, which I would try to force into. And then I'm just be like staring at my screen, be like, I don't know how I'm being productive at all. I'm just doing nothing and like clicking around. Yeah, me and my coworker had this thing where it's like, we'll go for a mango walk. We just like did a walk around King Street and just go get dried mangoes. And like we have no brain power to do anything else. So yeah.
Okay, this is a good one. What opportunity have you passed up or had to turn down that you still think about?
I had no idea when I first read this. And then thinking about it, it kind of is like, it's a little different than like I turned it down. But I kind of want to flip it into the sense of like I had this opportunity that I was pretty much being groomed to have a pretty solid career in a very high up company, or sorry, a very big worldwide company. And I had an amazing connection and I was being like basically groomed from executive assistant to be a part of this huge career. And I kind of like saw my whole life ahead of me. I was like, I'm gonna be traveling, I'm gonna be making so much money, I'm gonna be like in the coolest events and things like that. And then all of a sudden, it was kind of like wiped out from under my feet. And because my boss at the time was let go very unexpectedly, I didn't even get an explanation of like what really happened. I kind of found out like through the grapevine. And through that whole thing, I was like, okay, I could fight my way to like get back into working with somebody else or like being in a different department or something. But I had a weird sense that I'm like, I just kind of want to cut ties with this. And I don't necessarily know if this lifestyle is really for me. And I think, oh my God, thinking about that, I would be in the most different lifestyle ever. And maybe it would have been great for like the money, the cars, the whatever, the tickets to literally everything. But I could not imagine me being in that setting. I'd be in a suit, I'd be in heels every day, I'd be like a different person. It would be so crazy. So I think like that's the first thing that came to my mind. And I think like if anybody's wondering or like regretting things like that, sometimes I go back and be like, what if I did that? And my life would be so different. But honestly, like the money, I know this is like such a cliche topic to talk about, but the money does not matter if you're not like actually happy about what you're doing. I was making so much more money in my 9 to 5, like right before this. And I would like come home literally not even crying because anything happened to me. I was just so exhausted, like emotionally drenched.
Drained.
Drained. I was emotionally drained and like didn't have any more to give. But now I'm choosing to do what I actually love. I get to choose who I work with every day. And I get to choose to like be a part of something like ground level for people that makes them so excited. Like being on the call yesterday with those girls for the new project, I was like blown away by how passionate they were. And I think like that's the coolest thing to do. But like, again, that's not for everybody. And if somebody wants a different route, that's obviously different, but like just making sure that makes you happy for sure. And like you're getting fulfilled, because that's like, I could not imagine if I was in the other shoes that like my past me thought I was gonna be at like 30 years old.
Yeah, that's so crazy to think about.
Yeah.
How do you schedule your day to stay on top of things?
Oh, I don't.
I feel like we kind of talked about this, and I feel like for us, like we have our set days that we kind of know like where we're working, what time, what we're going to be working on. I feel like that's been something that's kind of just come with time. Like I think you try different things, you see what works, what doesn't work, and that's the benefit of not having a 9 to 5. Is like we know, you know, what has been going well, and like we can really change things like depending on like what clients we have, if we're doing more internal stuff, like all of that. But also like that's a big thing, having that structure of knowing what we're going to be working on. But I know that we each have our own like morning and nighttime routines that like set us up for the day when we come together.
Yeah.
Right. And we know what works best for us.
Yeah. And I think that was a big thing for me when I brought you on, honestly. The beginning was a little different because it was like scattered hours and things like that, and you were still in school. But now I was like, one thing I want to make sure of for any employees or anybody like freelancing, working with Manuka Sunday, I want to make sure that like they have like the time and the space to like set yourself up for total success, because I know personally, like, if I don't have the time that I really need to like get my mind right, honestly, like eat the right food, work out, like do the things that you really need to do. Everybody talks about it, but like it matters so much in the workplace. If you're just like grinding it out and doing everything with like the worst brain power or like the least amount of brain power, when you could be like just taking an extra hour off in the morning and starting at 10 rather than 9 and like actually have time to like gather yourself before you're just thrown into the fire. Not that it's flaming hot over here. But yeah, I think that's so important. And for me, for like structuring, I think one thing that I'm really feeling like this shift with us is like having that one day to really focus on our own business and then having another day to focus on project work, which just takes like, it's terrible for me to like go in and out of like calls and then go to a project and then go to like doing admin stuff. Like it's so hard. So I'm really, really trying to do more stuff like this day. Like we blocked out 3 full hours to just record. And this is going to just make our whole month of podcasting easier because it's just all done right now. Rather than being like, okay, I need to, like I spent 2 hours earlier this morning prepping for this. Now we're here for 2 hours, and that's 5 hours in general. Before I was doing it, literally like it takes an hour and a half to record a podcast because I'm doing it by myself and I'm like pressing record and then like editing as I go. And then I spend like 2 days stressing about it because I'm like, am I going to get this out on time? Am I going to do all this stuff? So just like time blocking, I guess I'm going back to, is like making sure that you're getting your stuff done first, then second priority, third priority, and making sure that you understand really like how you're blocking out your days and how you're working best for you. Like I said, like my most productive hours is like 7:30 a.m. Like I do my thing at like 6 to 7:30, and then I sit down on the computer and I can rip out so much work. And I think it's because like nobody's around and I'm just like squirrel. I like just get concerned about everything going around me. So I feel like that's the biggest
I
thing.
feel like the main point with that is like if you are someone that's just starting out like making your own hours, it can be really hard to feel like you need to be productive 24/7, but like don't be afraid to block time off for yourself. I think like if taking that time makes you show up 100% for those other hours, that's so much better than showing up like 70% for more hours. Right.
And even like what I was saying earlier when we were in the Uber, when I was like, I think I'm too good at being under pressure because I just leave everything. But you can take that as something to learn from about yourself too. Like you can do so much in a small amount of time. And if you just block that one time and you're accountable to that time, you're going to get so much more done rather than being like, oh, I have a full day and I need to fill it up with every single thing and go back and forth between tabs, and just filling in everything does not work. And I've tried it and I've like completely burnt out that way. I think Italy was really nice for that.
Because
like,
you really learned how to like slow down and take time, and like you came back so much more like, okay, I want to like get this done. Especially like with our own staff. I feel like that was a really good reset for you to like go away, think about it, and then come back like honestly 110%. Like we're gonna dive right in and like get this all started.
I felt that for sure. And it's also like after that trip, I told myself I would book off like think days either once a month or like a full weekend going off by myself and like doing something for myself and just totally relaxing. But you're like, you can relax in a way is like, I always say I get the weirdest and best ideas when I'm in the steam room or the shower or something, where I'm like, I'm fully relaxed right now and I'm just letting myself be me. And you can like, you'll be shocked at how many more ideas come up rather than just sitting down with a pen and paper, be like, okay, I need to come up with 10 ideas right now. Like it just comes to you naturally when you're in your most like relaxed state. So
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
I think even like going for a walk or like going for a run, even like on that topic of not being productive, don't have anything like in your ears. Like no music, no podcast, and just like, you know, walk and kind of like see what comes up and like go with that, right? Rather than having to like be productive.
Do you run without earphones sometimes?
No.
Okay, I was gonna
But
say
sometimes I'll walk without.
Yeah, me
but
too.
Like, but even if I'm running, like I find that if I'm listening to a podcast, I'm like thinking about that.
Yeah.
If it's just music, sometimes I'm like, I totally tune it out and I'm just like going through things in my head.
No, absolutely. I think it's so important to do that. You just like start taking your surroundings more too. I'm like, wow, I didn't know my neighborhoods had so many cherry blossoms in it.
Shouldn't like that.
Okay.
I guess we'll do one more. Okay, what do you look for when hiring for your team?
I had an experience of hiring at my past job and I was a complete train wreck at it. And I just like didn't know what to look for. And it is the biggest test to yourself to like understand what you're actually looking for. So this is like a huge thing. And when I got asked this on a past podcast and they were saying like, how do you start hiring your team or how do you find new freelancers and stuff like that? And I was like, oh my God, so much trial and error. Like it's like I think we nailed it by you actually messaging me. And this was my answer to them. For anybody that doesn't know, I feel like we forget that we're on camera.
I know.
Carly messaged me on Instagram and was like, hey, I think you said like, I love what you do. I've listened to your podcast. I'm like interested. This is my background, and gave me a little bit of backstory on what you do. And then we met, and it's honestly like you can feel it out.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very intuitive with people, and I could just feel like, okay, she gets it. And like the biggest thing for me for an aesthetic situation is like if you understand the vibe that we're going for, if you just get it. I don't know how to explain it, but if you get it, and especially in the wellness industry, like I needed someone specific that knew all the ins and outs. And it helps that you're in Toronto and that you know what's going on in Toronto in the wellness scene. So those were all perks. And it's just like understanding like, okay, everybody that I'm going to hire, I'm going to have to teach a lot and try to like train as much as possible on like systems and things, but those are all teachable. Especially you pick up on things so fast. And then, but like the other side of things, like just understanding the industry, also like connections are amazing and like things like that. Those are all things that I would kind of look for. But for I want to say tactical, I don't know if that's the right word, but I would specifically look for in like my next hire, somebody that's just going to like get in the fire and just have like a lot of creative ideas and ready to go after them. Like when you started posting for Pole, something like that is just like, I don't want to have this stress of like, if I'm hiring somebody, I want to put the confidence in them and I want to have them have confidence to like do the job, and I want to let them do it. If there's obviously going to be mistakes made, but at the same time, like that's just happens in everyday life. I'm not going to like, that just happens. We'll get there. We'll pass that bridge when we get there, whatever they say. But what I'm trying to say is like, I'd rather somebody take the horns and like go for it and just get in there and try their best rather than like kind of tiptoeing, because it does take a lot out of you to be like, we're stopping and starting to explain everything. I think that's a bit about me too, because when I was like in my internship, when I was working, I would just be like thrown in the fire and be like, I fucking love this. Like I love like having full range, and I'm like, of course I made mistakes and things like that, and you learn, but I think that's the best way to like build confidence in your team too, to just let them do that. I don't know if I'm even answering this question. What do I look at a team?
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, confidence, but also like I feel like it is just like a vibe, like between who you're hiring. Like for me, with all of our clients, there has not been a single client that I haven't been excited about or just as excited as you. But that's just because like this is a personal interest of mine. And from the get-go, like, I mean, like I said, I've been listening to the podcast for a while, or like following you for a while, and I knew like that was your kind of niche,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so me reaching out, like I knew what I was like looking for.
Yeah.
And so like if I wasn't passionate about it, I feel like that would really show in like my work and kind of like how I'm showing up every day. And I feel like we both love to work, which makes things so much easier. And like just being able to be like, okay, like I'm gonna do this and like jump into this.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is the answer. Like it's just like the connection and like how things are going, and also like you being okay with just handing things over and being like, okay, try this, and then we'll like jump back in.
Totally. I totally agree. I also think it goes along the lines of like putting yourself out there. The fact that you messaged me and you also were like, I have this experience. If for anybody that's like reaching out to people, I think like own what you do, own what you know, and then also like make a creative spin on it. Like there's so many ways that you can, like you could like, I'm giving a good idea for somebody to pitch me right now, actually. If you took one of our clients and be like, hey, I think this is really cool what you're doing, but then like you built out a feed for it and like in a different way, like that'd be a sick way to get somebody's attention. And that's something along the lines of like that confidence that I would look for. Obviously skill sets are great and things like that, but yeah, just like putting yourself on the top of the resume pile.
I think it's also think about yourself as a brand. Like if you are wanting to like jump into like the creative industry, you are going to be working with developing brands. Like how are you showing up as yourself? Like is that in your resume, your portfolio, like your pitch deck for yourself? How are you really positioning your own vision of yourself with who you want to work for?
Yeah. Instagram is huge for that. Holy crap. I've never, like, the thing about websites, and I've actually looked onto somebody that I was going to be working with. I looked onto their Instagram page and noticed that they had a website in their bio, and I thought that was so cool that they went out of their way to like make their basically own bio for they were a freelance writer, and it just looked so clean and professional. You don't have to do anything crazy, like get a huge designed website, and I'm like saying that as a website designer, I don't think it's needed. You just need to like show that you're putting effort in. And it's like you can do that in such like minimal ways, and especially if you got that eye, that can be very elevated in a simple way. Yeah,
I agree.
Was that it?
I think so. Yeah,
I think so too. Do you want to say anything to introduce yourself at all at the end of the podcast?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's just going to be so much more of this to come, especially like with our trips and like special things planned. I feel like there's going to be a lot more like behind the scenes and really exciting things coming up for Manuka Sunday, apart from like our client work, our website relaunch.
Yeah, go look at it now.
But yeah, I just think it's going to be really good to like see all like the behind the scenes, and that's something that I really enjoy looking at when I'm looking at like other studios or creators. So I'm excited that we get to do that.
Yes, and we're gonna go full force, and because my accountability buddy is here, I'm gonna make sure to be consistent. I also wanted to say like thank you so much to everybody like watching and consistently showing up, because I know it has been inconsistent. There's been a lot of life stuff going on. There's been a lot, but I feel like there's a good shift happening right now. And like you said, like I came back from Italy and it was like, okay, we're gonna plan it all out and make it all happen, and I really feel motivated to do that. And yeah, we're just working with the coolest people, and I'm really grateful for that. So yeah, this is the intro to Carly and our Q&A, but we'll be doing lots more. Leave any, if this is on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave any questions or anything that you want to ask for another Q&A we'll do in a few weeks or something in the comments, or DM us on Instagram at Manuka Sunday, and let's just chat. Yeah. Like, review, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.